Geoff, so great to see you. You know that I am a big fan of yours. Thank you for joining our empowerment series.
So big fan of yours too,
Well, will you back
as you
at it?
know.
Well, thank you. And so, Geoff, what I want to do is just, if it's okay, I actually want to to introduce you the way I see you, not your typical boom, 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 but really what makes the great leader that you are. And Geoff, um, I've always followed Geoff. I consider him to be Geoff, I don't know if I ever told you this, but I consider you to be our next generation of leaders. And actually, you're already there. And no, seriously, I mean, you have built this remarkable company, Medical Guardian, from nothing that serves how many hundreds of thousands of people with these wonderful medical devices that save people's lives. Are we allowed to say that Ruth Bader Ginsburg was one of your clients? I don't
Well,
know.
I'm okay if you do. She was well, maybe our most notable member of all time. We had her on our service for 7 or 8 years. Yeah, 615,000 members.
615. Yeah, it's huge.
615. Yeah,
And and,
right.
and
I was at the Sixers game the other week telling a colleague, I said, if you fill up all the NBA stadiums, that's our member population, really. Think about it.
ooh,
Sort
I
of 30.
love that.
So it puts in perspective just the, enormous responsibility that we have with the aging population and what we do every day.
And so you built this wonderful business from nothing. And the one thing I did read about you, and that I don't think we've ever discussed, is you built it because of your grandmother, the company. Is that right?
Well, yeah, she was the inspiration for it. I had two wonderful grandmothers who had a great relationship. My one grandmother, my mom's mom, they were both named Frida. So
Ooh,
my mom's mom, Frida,
I had an Aunt
used to
Frida for the
yeah,
record. So I love that name.
great name. And yeah, my grandmother was, when I was out of school and in my early to mid 20s, my grandmother had turned 80 and had a number of falls. She'd had a couple of knee replacements, I think a hip replacement. She was unstable at best, and spent a lot of time. My grandfather died young. She lived alone, and she would have a number of falls in primarily in her bathtub. She had one bathroom in the house, and she had great neighbors who lived next to her for 20 or 30 years and would check on her, luckily, but she didn't have any type of way to summon help in an emergency. So that was really the initial inspiration for it, and turned me on to a larger problem that I thought needed some addressing and sort of different approach to.
And so was that the moment when you said, I need to bet on myself and take this, I want to say crazy ride because it's such a fabulous ride? Or were there other times when you like bet on yourself and you were like, hey, I got to just go for it?
Hey, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur in a sense. My dad was a serial entrepreneur. It inspired me. I never thought it would be this type of business. And, I was motivated by things that were interesting to me as a teenager, like sports apparel and otherwise. But, I think I got lucky in a sense. I wish I could say it was more intentional and it was well thought out that ultimately I would start a business that had an opportunity to transform areas of healthcare, which is certainly where I feel like we are today. It wasn't that well thought out, but I did sort of jump in, and there's always a leap of faith in betting on yourself when you start a business at the age of 25. You're not taking a traditional route of a job and a career, which I had and my friends were doing. And in the beginning, you're not making any money. You're working around the clock. It's an uncomfortable way to live in a sense. But you're doing the work that, hopefully if you sustain and make it through a number of near-death experiences, you come out on the other side and turns out to be a very fun way of living and a motivating um, aspect of my life sort of every day.
As you were talking about, in the beginning, as you were building, did you ever sort of be like, doubt yourself? Or were you like, you know what, I can do this. I'm going to keep going. Like, what's your personality for something like that when you're going through the tough times? Are you the optimist? Are you the realist? Like, how would you describe how you felt during the tougher times?
Well, I think I'm an optimist. I think you have to, and you have to have a
You
certain
are.
level of,
Yes,
naiveness in a sense, because you're trying to do things that and go places that I think most people, most businesses fail. We all know the statistics. Most people will tell you what you want to do is hard, impossible. People have already done it, whatever it is. And we didn't invent something. Most people start businesses, they design the best product they can, and then they find out how to commercialize it. We sort of went a different route, which is I said, here's a model that's been around for 30 or 40 years. It's fairly antiquated. People, it has a stigma around it. I think we can find a better way to do this. And being a generation younger than any owner operator at the time, I had an opportunity to look at it and do things differently. And it certainly, I think, was our approach in different aspects of the business as it grew, and it's ultimately worked very well. 20 years
yeah,
later, I'm still, the youngest by a generation, and but we have
I
a
love it.
we have a little experience under our belt, and so that's what's been so much fun.
It's funny because in a lot of ways you took a product again and with this feeling like you created a new product, which is something that was even better. And I love that too. It's like it's sort of that okay, like, and I think for people who are listening in who want to take that risk, it doesn't always mean you have to have the aha invention. It could also be that you found something, but you want to do it better and you want to find a way to do it. And I love that sort of innovation piece of you. And I do think that's what makes you one of our great leaders is that you're sort of always, you're playing out the chess moves almost like thinking ahead and how do you get there? And the really cool part, as you said earlier, is that look at all these people who you are helping to live these
That's
wonderful
the
lives.
best part. And that,
Hmm.
when you fall into a business in a category, the good you can do up front. You can't fully realize the impact that it has over a 20-year period. When I look back of the millions of members we've had on our service during that time, the amount of lives that have been saved, the amount of long-term health outcomes that have been improved, the family members that have been touched. I mean, when you do what I do, you hear the stories, you get the letters, whether it be from, a sitting Supreme Court justice
Right.
that people envy to a regular Joe. Um, Everybody is important, and everybody loves their family and wants them protected and safe and well at home. So that's been something that the CEO can get in back of. A frontline worker can feel good about the work they do that day, and that's particularly rewarding over a number of different categories that I don't think can make the same claim.
I love it. And that is a perfect way to say thank you so much for sharing all of your thoughts and congratulations. And we are excited for more amazing things from you. So great to see you and thank you.